Well, it's official. We've reached the halfway mark of the 88th legislative session, which means there's a lot of action at the Capitol. Ideas are being debated, committees are working late into the night, and a handful of bills are even getting voted out. With so much going on, it can be hard for the average Texan to keep up with what's happening at the State House, but don't worry. TPPF is here to help you stay informed about all things Texas policy. This is The Layout. I'm James Quintero, Policy Director here at the Texas Public Policy Foundation, and today I'm joined by two very special guests, Senator Paul Bettencourt and Senator Tan Parker. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Great to be with you.
After a day like we've had, we're all going to live long and prosper. It's not every day we get to pass $16.5 billion of property tax relief, James.
Well, that's right. So big news of the day, the Texas Senate acted on its property tax relief package. Congratulations. So let's jump right on in because I know there's a lot to discuss. Let's start off with Senate Bill 3, which is the first part of this tax plan. Senator, can you walk us through what Senate Bill 3 does?
Well, sure. What happened today in the Texas Senate is we took the Lieutenant Governor priority tax relief bills, Senate Bill 3, 4, 5, and the constitutional amendment, and we smacked it out of the park. 124-0. Every bill passed unanimously because this is the tax relief you want in Texas. Trust me. Starting with SB 3, this is a 75% increase in the homestead exemption for all 5.72 million homesteaders in the state. That's just to start with. But wait, we're not done yet. We go to over 65 and disabled homeowners, and we're talking about an additional 30,000 exemption. We're tripling the over 65 exemption. And if you combine that triple over 65 exemption with the increased homestead exemption, it means all seniors will have a $100,000 exemption on their school taxes. And that's eye-popping stuff. Mm-hmm. That's what Senate Bill 3 does to start off with.
Well, can I just say, wow?
Yeah, that's right.
That's
wow.
what we say.
Right. And the good news is it's going to be retroactive to this year. So if the public votes for it in November, it's going to be instantaneous tax relief. And these are the eye-popping numbers. If you look at it right here with the compression that we'll talk about in Senate Bill 4, this is going to give an average home of $331,000, a 2-year nearly $800 permanent cut. So for a young homeowner that's buying a first-time mortgage, it's $24,000 of savings because this is the most powerful thing you can do is exempt property from taxation. But wait, we've got more because for the over 65 exemption, it's up to $1,062. I never thought I could write a bill, have people like Tan vote for it, that would give out a $1,062 tax saving for the people that have paid a lifetime of taxes. They need the help to stay in the homes. We've got everything in SB 3 for the homeowners. It's off-the-charts tax relief.
Now, you touched on it here just a second ago about the compression component, and that's in SB 4. Can you tell us a little bit about what that means for the average taxpayer?
Well, when you look at issues, when you're doing tax policy, you want to look at where are your problems. Well, one of the problems we talked about is homesteads, keeping people in their homes. Senator Parker is going to be talking about helping small businesses and all businesses on business tax relief. But the glue that holds all this together is compression. This is where as values go up, tax rates come down. We started that in 2019 by these two historic bills that passed, SB 2 and HB 3, that started as values go up, city, county, and school district taxes come down. The TATARA, which is the Texas Taxpayer and Research Institute, said those two bills saved $11 billion last year off of people's taxes. But wait, we're not done yet, because what Senate Bill 4 is going to do is going to compress those taxes by another 7 pennies. But importantly, we're drilling through a hole. See, there's a problem that we can't get tax relief down to 700 school districts because they're at the floor of what's called maximum rate compression. And this is something that's leftover archaic code from Edgewood versus Kirby, when we used to pay on property taxes exclusively. Now we don't. We got a great equitable funding system for schools. So, but this old code was there, and it prevented tax relief, and it prevented the maximum compress rate going below 80 pennies, because you've seen it, James, in the calculations. So we drilled through that hole with a recapture provision. It cost us about $500 million, but basically we can now take every one of those school districts. They're all off the floor, which means tremendous tax relief by being smart with our dollars. And that means it's going to be there for years to come. So I love the combination of Senate Bill 3 and 4. It's a great start to this because it takes schools off of recapture. I mean, think about it. All the years we've been talking about Robin Hood and recapture. Yeah. This bill takes 19 school districts off of recapture. It takes 698 districts off of the minimum, off the floor, which means we're going to have tremendous tax relief in schools that's been really jammed up by old archaic laws.
Mm-hmm. Now, one of the important parts about SB4, at least in my opinion, is the fact that I believe it benefits all property taxpayers. Is that right?
Right. Every taxpayer, wherever they are, business, home, you name it, everybody's going to get that compression. And they're also going to get much more effect of that compression because, you know, we may not have the highest compression number, but we got a tremendous throw weight down, pushing down your tax bills because we thought through it and come up with a really good solution, just like we did with the inventory tax credit that Senator Parker's got. You have to understand the problems. You've got to fix them because my old adage is what gets measured gets fixed, and compression is a big part of it. So values go up, tax rates come down, and we've basically drilled through the old floor on school district taxes, and we're making up all this money for the schools. So before somebody asks, no, the schools are all being held harmless. We've got the states picking up the tab.
Now, Senator Parker, I want to bring you in because, of course, you helped pass a very important bill today with broad support. Can you tell us a little bit about SB 5?
Well, absolutely, James, and thank you for the opportunity to be on the show. We appreciate the chance to talk about this. It's historic relief, as Senator Bettencourt talked about. It's amazing what we've done. This full package, $16.5 billion. I'm so grateful to Chairman Bettencourt and his leadership and our great Lieutenant Governor for giving us the opportunity to bring this on a bipartisan basis to the people of Texas. But specifically, when it talk about Senate Bill 5, we're talking about $1.5 billion of relief for Texas businesses, small, mid-size, and large, everything. All Texas businesses will benefit from what we did here today on the floor of the Senate. And so we're now urging our colleagues, obviously, in the House to pick it up and move forward. Specifically what it does, two components. The business personal property piece, that exemption today is a de minimis $2,500. What we do with this bill is take it from $2,500 to $25,000. Boom. I mean, just a tenfold increase. And of course, people aren't talking about, forget the dollars for a minute, the real time commitment. It was taking businesses across Texas probably upwards of 8 to 10 hours a year to fill out that form. And so we just gave every business in Texas a day back of their life to be productive and create bottom line profits to secure a better future for their employees and their shareholders. So that's an incredible piece. The other piece that we're so excited about that's historic is the inventory tax reduction. So reducing your inventory bill by 20%. So many companies come to Texas and they go, look, you're the land of opportunity. You're the most incredible economy around. But we didn't realize we're going to have to pay inventory tax. What happened here, Senator Bettencourt, Senator Parker? And so we've been dealing with this for a number of years, been fielding these questions. And for the first time, we've taken a real stab at taking 20% of that bill off the table. And we're doing it, obviously, by reducing your franchise tax. So it's
Which
really...
businesses hate, by the way. They've hated the franchise tax, and there's good reason to.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm very excited, again, on a bipartisan basis to pass this bill. It's an enormous, historic day, $16.5 billion of total relief for the people of Texas, both individual citizens as well as these businesses of all sizes. And just so grateful to everyone a part of the process, that our colleagues understood what we were providing, the quality of this package. And I think that's why ultimately we'll win the day and get it through the House as well. Because, look, our House colleagues are wonderful people. I served in the House for many, many years. They want to do the right thing by their taxpayers and by the people of Texas, just as we do in the Senate. And I think they'll recognize as they get into the details and look at the numbers on what we're doing with all three of these bills, plus the constitutional amendment, that it's really a package that isn't a Senate bill, it isn't a House bill, it's a Texas bill. We're blessed to start it here in the Senate. It will end from there become a Texas solution for all of us. This is what makes the legislature special. We will find a way to land the plane on these critical issues, but in the end of the day, we just think our plan is superior for all the reasons we've described.
And as in committee the other day, I heard somebody make a very important point, and I'm sure you would agree. Ultimately, businesses don't pay taxes; people do. And so, as you are moving forward with this particular piece of legislation, I think the ultimate beneficiary is going to be the consumer.
No question about it. Look, people have to understand the ridiculous cost that we are dealing with today. No matter if you're at the grocery store, if you're buying your favorite product, insurance, any service, it's all gone through the roof. Now, of course, that's a function of multiple things. One, the sloppiness of the federal government, this horrific Biden administration that's created this Biden inflationary environment. But what can we in Texas do about it? Well, we can provide this kind of meaningful relief to the people of Texas, because at the end of the day, if you put a tax on business, it gets passed downstream. Consumers are going to pick it up, and we recognize that, and this package recognizes that.
Because at the end of the day, it's your money.
That's
not
right.
Government's.
That's exactly right.
That's what we talked about.
That's exactly
Trying
right.
to get your money back to you in the best way that we can, in the best public policy that we can get for the whole state of Texas, because the combination of all this has to be voted on by the voters. See, it's up to you on November 2023 to vote for this plan. If you do, you're going to get tax relief on your bill that fall, the same literally week. Okay? That's how we've structured this. And it is up for the public to vote their money back to them. That's really what we set up here.
That's right.
Because all of this is recognition of the obvious, which what Senator Parker just said, is that it's the taxpayers' money. Get it back to them.
Right.
Indeed.
That's the bottom line, and we want everybody to realize that. We have the greatest workforce on planet Earth here in Texas. And it's incumbent on us to give these dollars back to the hardworking men and women of this state. And that's really what we're trying to do.
And this is literally decades of Uncle Paul's experience here, and Lieutenant Governor Patrick's experience, and a good newcomer here too, who has a lot of experience in business, as you know, because we know what tools work. Okay, now because look, an appraisal cap won't help anybody for an over 65 disabled homestead exemption. It can't by definition, because their taxes are already frozen. So if you say, oops, I'm not going to give them, I'm going to limit their increase, well, 2 million homeowners won't get any help, but they'll get $1,062 in the Senate plan here for the rest of their life. That's from the experience of knowing what works and doesn't work.
That's exactly right. They're breaking through the floor because of that experience.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
Because we knew that was one thing that, when as somebody that helped pass those bills, you never know when you're going to run into a unusual event, COVID, a state, 254 county emergency. You have to go through all this to find out, how do you get tax relief to people? So the big point here is basically doubling that bandwidth on school equity from 10 to 20, and basically pushing down the maximum rate compression for every district. Because again, the best tax plan is for everybody to get something. All homes, all over 65, all businesses, every taxpayer, because everybody will feel that rate compression reduction, and these numbers, like $1,000, $800 from, these are eye-popping. I sat before I closed, I think, on the constitutional amendment to Lieutenant Governor Patrick by saying, we had been working on this for 20 years. It was 20 years ago when we first showed up with buses of Houstonians to fight for lower taxes. I never thought I'd be standing up in front of them to come up with $16.5 billion of tax relief. It's a wonderful day for anybody that's a Reagan warrior. Okay,
Amen. Amen.
I can't have a better day. Okay, but we can have a better day if the House passes this plan, and if you, the voter, votes for it in November. Again, remember Uncle Paul. If you vote yes, you get the tax relief on your tax bill that same week.
Absolutely. Get to the polls in November. We get this thing done in the House. Make sure you get to the polls in November and make sure you support it, right? I mean,
Right.
it's going to benefit you directly. we can't say it more clearly than that, right?
Well, gentlemen, I know you guys are very busy doing great work up at the Capitol. I want to be mindful of your time, but any closing thoughts as we kind of close out
Well,
here?
look, James, I just want to thank you and TPPF for your leadership, for all that you do, provide this platform for us to get this message to the people of Texas. It's so important that people realize that this is a great plan. We now have moved it out of the Senate. It's in the House. We need everyone's support to recognize the importance of moving it through the House. And let's take it to the voters in November. Let's get it done. But the people of Texas deserve this. It is past due. And we've been working on property tax relief for years in the House. I worked on property tax relief. We would work on these things as caucus leaders, the Republican leaders in the House and
Republican
Senate.
caucus leaders
And we would always
together.
work on tax policy for years and years. But until this time, and as Paul said, this 20-year path that he and the lieutenant governor have been on to recognize the necessity of doing this, we never thought this day would come. And so it's just a special day that we're excited about. But we want people in the House to realize that, look, this is, again, it's not a Senate plan. This is a Texas plan.
Yeah.
And we want people to realize that in order to get this thing across the goal line, it is the Texas plan for providing relief for everyone in this state.
Let me tell you what the realtors call this. They call this plan home ownership for life. And it's true.
Sums it up.
That's right. But when the Texas Association of Business said, all of Chamberville is with you, they're excited, ecstatic about the plan. That's from Texas Association of Business. And we talked about Tatara, but I knew we were having a good day when Texas Public Policy Foundation came in and supported the plan, because you're a bellwether too. But the great news is that these numbers are so off the chart: $800 for a home, $1,000 for over 65, nuisance tax gone for business, first time ever inventory tax credit, which I'll say is Uncle Paul's idea, but he gets to cross the finish line. All this stuff is going to happen because it does real things for real people. And thanks, James,
Amen.
for TPPF always recognizing good public policy.
Absolutely. We're so grateful to you for doing that, James.
Well, thank you
Terrific.
guys for your leadership
Really
in the Texas Senate, and look forward to seeing how this develops and gets across the finish line.
Hey, thank you, James. Appreciate you so much. Thanks for everybody that's watching. We appreciate your support of what we're doing here in the Texas Capitol.
And you really will live long and prosper under the Senate property tax plan. Trust me.
Absolutely.